BBC Tees.
Are we lazy as a nation when we go abroad? Do we just assume everyone's going to speak English, or do we have real problems learning languages?
I live in the UK, and this is the question that everybody asks. Are we lazy? Are we lucky? When we go abroad, we expect people to reply to us in English. I think sometimes you go abroad and you can't expect everybody to know every single language. You might go to China, you might go to Japan, you might go to Asia. English is the lingua franca. It's the language that most of the people, when they're in a school or a uni, they will get taught and they will want to learn. Because most people do learn it. And it's also a lot easier to learn to a good level than many other languages. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's really the reason.
It still smacks of idleness on our behalf, yeah? When I went to France, I know bits and bobs of French, but the most useful bit of French I ever learnt was "Je suis désolé, je ne parle pas français." Yeah? I'm really sorry, I don't speak your language. And from that point, yeah, the help that they gave me was incredible, because I'd made a tiny bit, just a tiny bit of an effort in order to communicate with them on their terms. And I think that is so greatly appreciated. I mean, obviously, I'm saying obviously, because of the way in which education works on the continent and here with respect to languages, when you open your mouth in Holland and you attempt to speak Dutch and they reply in English far better than you could, with everything perfectly constructed in exactly the right order. I don't know whether we're frowned upon as a nation when we go abroad, or whether it's so ingrained into their culture that they're going to speak English anyway that it doesn't really matter to them. How do you think we're perceived?
I think, as you said, if you're trying to make an effort, even if it's a little word like hola or bonjour or whatever that might be, I think people are going to already think, okay, he's trying, he doesn't speak the language, but he made the effort to get a guide, to learn 3 or 4 sentences, and just to show that, I'm not coming here sort of imposing, let's speak English. So I think if you go anywhere with good intentions and showing that you're making an effort, I think that's the first thing you should do, and people would understand that and respect it, and they won't give you a hard time if you approach it like that. I think
you're probably right, mate. I think the fact that I think if you're humble about it, and I mean, like, I'm not saying I did it perfectly, but I mean, that one phrase, I'm really sorry, I don't speak French.
Sounded pretty good to me.
Kind of, it kind of sets the tone, yeah?
Absolutely.
Which I think is infinitely better than being stood there and going, can I have two beers, please? Two beers, yeah? Speaking slowly and loudly in your own language. I think it's embarrassing when you see people do that, but they still do it, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think there's 2 kinds of people, not just Brits, but any nation. The people that do give it a try and go for it. And sometimes, when you learn a language, you don't use it all the time, you won't pronounce everything perfectly. But it doesn't matter if you pronounce it perfectly or if you mess up with one word here and there. As long as they understand what you're trying to say, no one's going to correct you. So my advice to people would be just give it your best shot. Give it a try. If you don't pronounce it perfectly, well, so it be. Life goes on. Life's too short.
At least
it's
you
not a
give it
big
a go.
deal. At least they understood what you meant. And if they then swap to English, it's their call, and they're trying to make it easy for you. So that's cool.
What I find as well is if you turn out to someone and say, so how do you say that in German then? How do you say that in whatever the country is where you are? I think if you get speaking to somebody, then they can give you a much better steer on a foreign language than you can from learning from a textbook. Because one of the biggest problems I had learning languages wasn't so much learning the nuts and bolts of where things go. It's actually understanding people when they talk to you, because guess what? Yeah, the guy in France speaks way faster than your French teacher used to at school. The guy from southeast Germany has a completely different accent to the one that you're used to working with when you've been studying German at school. So it is that if you can immerse yourself in their culture with their people, I think you learn far more, much quicker than you do just from a textbook.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember when I first came to the UK, you learn textbook English. When I came here, I thought everybody was going to come and say to me, how do you do? And then they replied to me, how do you do? And I'm thinking, people were looking at me like, are you for real? Like, really? How do you do? Who says that?
Yeah.
So it's, but you don't know. And until you are in that environment and you speak, I don't want to say English, street English, but like everyday English, the English that the people do speak, not the textbook English.
Yes.
Then you don't really get to learn it. I mean, you need to live in it, live it and breathe it to be able to do it. And that takes me very nicely to the story that I was mentioning before. When I was learning English, I used to try to put together words that to be able for me to memorize them. So, for instance, with the word strawberry, I could learn 3 words. The word straw, the little thing that you get a drink through. So then berry, so that's the berry. And then strawberry, that specific strawberry. But one time, I went to the McDonald's with some friends. I was 17 years old, and I made a mistake. And the actual word for straw, I got it confused with screw. Obviously, I've only been in the UK at that time for very little time, so I went to the McDonald's and I said to this lady on the counter, "Can I have a screw?" And she looked at me completely like, "What's going on?" So I repeat, because I thought maybe she didn't get my accent. Can I get a screw? A minute later, she comes back with a little note and her telephone number, and I'm thinking, what is going on? And then my friend comes and says, no, he actually means a straw. And it was so embarrassing. And then my friend said, "Do you just basically ask her for something else?" And the fact that she gave you her phone number, I don't know how you want to take that, but hey.
hey, you knock on enough doors.
Nothing happened, by the way, for the record.
There is a school of thought there really is. I've got to say, unfortunately for me, the kind of stuff that I remember, I mean, going back to what you were saying there about the how formal we are taught things and how informal it actually is in the real world. The polite German greeting that I was taught was "Angenehm Ihre Bekanntschaft zu machen."
Wow.
Which you don't get. You get hi. Yeah, hi, hello. That's what you get.
That's easy, hello.
So the first time I used that, "Angenehm Ihre Bekanntschaft zu machen," I got looked at like I had 2 heads. Ridiculous. That kind of thing sticks with me. And the only other bit of German that really sticks with me is, Deutsche Essen, beste Essen, which is very useful in restaurants.
What's the meaning of that?
It means German food's the best food.
Oh, well, there you go.
And würden Sie die Heizung abschalten, bitte? Which is, can you please turn the heating down? Which is kind of useful. So, how many languages do you speak?
Spanish, English, and I did Italian back at university. But I think that was kind of cheating because I did Italian via English. So some of the words that the teacher was telling me, "Oh, how do you know that word?" And I was like, well, it's the same word in Spanish. So I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to mention that. But yeah, it was actually half the times was the same word in Spanish. So it was kind of easy for me to learn it via English. And it actually made me improve my English because some of the English words that they were talking about, I didn't know. But I did know the Italian. So it was, I guess it was a win-win situation for me at that time.
I think with European languages as well, because when you take it back to, if you take it back to the core elements of the language, you take it back to Latin and you take it back to Greek influences, there are parts of the words that you can start to recognise. So within Europe, I think it becomes not incredibly easy, but it becomes an awful lot easier to go, hang on, I know what you mean there.
Yes.
And if you look at just the influence that, I guess, the invading forces that wars have had over thousands of years on the various countries within Europe, that kind of, you've now got this homogeny of different words. I mean, I found out the other day through, there's an expression we use in the Northeast, which is gormless. Oh, you're gormless, you. It means you know nothing. And I thought, well, where does that come from? Yeah, and I researched it, and it comes from the Old Norse, gorm, which means knowledge. Yeah?
Wow.
And then found out that the Vikings had given us 139 words that are still in common use today in the UK. Words like skull and knife. So that there's an element to parts of the language coming from different parts of the continent, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Still doesn't mean I can order meals properly in Spain or get the right travel directions in Germany. But the Lord loves a tryer. Where can we go for more information on how to speak foreign proper?
Nowadays, there's information everywhere. You just need to go to the internet and you can get resources, you can get books, you can get anything you want. Recently, 2 months ago, I've written a book called Child Biting Teresa and Chancing Your Arm. And it talks about me, my story, when I was a little child in Spain and when I moved to the UK. And it talks a lot about communication, all of those little conversations, all of those problems that happens when you move to a country and you don't fully speak the language properly. And I want to say also, when you go to a country and you don't understand something and you mess something up. So I talk about curiosities, I talk about language quirks, I talk about all of those things that maybe I should have done differently, but hey, this is life and this is what happened. And, if that makes someone laugh or if that maybe helps someone, then so it be. It's a good thing, and I wanted to put it in paper, and I wanted to share that with people from not just the UK, but from any country really.
So what's this book called again?
It's called Child Biting, Chorizo, and Chancing Your Arm, and you can get it anywhere on Amazon, Waterstones, everywhere really.
So, sorry, child biting.
Chorizo.
Chorizo.
As in the thing that you eat in Spain.
Oh, okay. Child biting, chorizo, and chanting your arm.
That's the one.